Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Where today, I'm sorry I'm whispering, but I put in my headphones for this. I'm being doing a creepy pasta Among Us. Alright, you'll see my reaction and how much I cry. Turn it up a little bit.
You've probably seen the advertisements pop up on your smartphone, or maybe your social media feed. In short, the game is an online multiplayer survivalist where players of up to 10 are randomly assigned to either be crew members or imposters.
Yep.
The goal depends on which side of the game you're on. As a crew member, you work to save your fellow mates and stop the imposters, while the opposite is true for the other team. They will sabotage you and kill as many crew members discreetly as possible. As simple as it sounds, the game is highly addictive and has recently risen to popularity in the YouTube and Twitch community due to the pandemic lockdown. I'm hoping thanks to its popularity, I can get the word out about what the game is really. Because even though the short simulation is harmless fun, what myself and 6 other astronauts faced was not. As impossible as it sounds, this is our story. 2016. We were told that we were going to be on the space station for approximately 2 weeks, no more and no less. Jansen was given supplies and asked to stock the pantry for the flight. Manchez and Angela were in charge of maintenance and engineering. Colleen, the only female of the group, was given the job of medical records. While Hans, myself, and Jonas were in charge of piloting and communications. I have trained my whole life for an opportunity like this, so needless to say, I was more than excited to shoot for the stars. I had never met any of them before that day, and didn't really pay much attention to any of them, to be honest. We were all here for different reasons, and it didn't concern me so long as we did our jobs. The launch and arrival to the station were nothing special. We met with the old crew and started going over the tasks that we would have during our mission. Comet HP 456 is projected across the threshold in approximately 3 days. Our main concern is to document and retrieve as much data as possible from it, as it is still unclassified. Along with that, routine maintenance and adjustments to exterior paneling will be made, Manchez explained. He appointed himself as commander based on his years of seniority, and none of us objected. Once the old crew was gone, we began to document all of these supplies that were still on board to make sure they matched with the record. I joined Hans and Johnson near the command center to check logs and instruments. It was here that we noticed our first discrepancy. Has anyone accessed the logs yet? Jansen asked as he reviewed everything. Not that I'm aware of. Why? I asked, glancing over at his screen. The entire database was blank. Is that normal? Jansen asked us, but I honestly didn't know. Hans only shrugged, not being able to speak much English.
We at Raymore and Flanagan want to thank our veterans, so we're extending savings of 15 to 20%.
If their mission was classified, it is. A voice chimed in from the doorway. Colleen had been standing there listening to us. Well, I guess we should program the system to do the same for us once we head home, Jansen decided, thinking little of it. It bothers me to think that we could so easily fall into a trap.
Yep.
But this is what happens when people learn to trust each other. Later that same day, Jonas and Johnson were prepping for the first heavy maintenance task outside the hull of the station. Use of these suits is going to be limited, so we need to move fast and be efficient, Jonas told me as he activated the exterior cameras. It was my job to watch the 2 of them as they crossed from the airlock over to the 3 loose panels. The job wasn't supposed to take over 45 minutes according to Jansen's calculations, and only provided a 13% window of error. Despite the risks, the 2 men suited up and left the relative safety of the station without any fanfare. Watching them cross into the emptiness of space reminded me of seeing old movies, the way the characters would glitch and jump a few seconds. I made a mental note to add the cameras to our maintenance list, as I activated the comms and instructed the two of them to move east towards the panels. Static was the only reply that I got, but it at least confirmed they heard me.
Did it though?
It seems like they left this place in a dump.
Sound like it.
A voice to my right said. Angelo sat down alongside me and let out a sigh before remarking, I guess this is what we get for being the cleanup crew. I remember that I was going to make a snappy joke, but then a loud burst of noise from the monitors caught my attention. The screen was glitching in and out of complete blackness, and I asked for either Johnson or Jonas to respond.
There's leak requesting airlock. Prepare.
The reply came in sporadic moments. Get the airlock open. Something went wrong, Colleen ordered over the intercom. The screen became completely static after that as we scrambled to assist the two of them back inside. Angelo was there first, quickly pressing in the correct sequence and standing back to allow for pressurization. The rest of us watched as Angelo went into the next chamber to assist one of the two men inside the station, all of us holding our collective breath as we realized that he was returning alone. All that was left of the other astronaut was the dangling cord that had been used for suspension and oxygen. Once inside, the survivor took off his helmet and revealed himself. It was Jansen. Bloody pressure in that pipe nearly finished us both off. Rest in peace, he exclaimed as he showed the marks on the left side of his suit where the oxygen had burst against it, leaving a melted mess. Let me get a look at you, come on, Colleen suggested. The others assisted her to take Johnson toward the central hub of the station. I was focusing on the suspension cord and wondering why the break looked like it had been made by a clean cut. After confirming that Jansen had sustained no major injuries, Colleen made the recommendation that we prepare a meal and also have a short service on behalf of Jonas. Although none of us truly knew each other, it seemed like the appropriate thing to do. So, Angelo and I prepared a small meal and we convened in the rec room about a half hour later. Even in the midst of the low gravity, Colleen was able to make a short toast to our fallen comrade and commented, "This accident just goes to show how diligent we all need to be. Not one of us is safe from the mistakes that we make, or from whatever else might be in disrepair aboard this station.
Accident.
We need to watch each other's backs like family." It was a good warning. The rest of us cheered and drank up, using the pressurized room to take off our suits and enjoy the meal. Roast and shepherd's pie, a classic that I knew from home, was the food of choice, and Hans wasted no time digging in, shouting something excitedly in his own tongue as he ate. "I'll drink to that," Jensen said with a chuckle as he tore off a bit of the roast. He was midway to chewing it when Colleen grabbed his hand. And then we noticed that Hans was not being excitable because of the meal. It was because he was choking. "Oh, holy crap," Colleen said as she rounded the room to try and check his airways. "Pass me that syringe," she ordered me. I was watching as Hans' eyes slowly bulged from his head, and his face began to swell. It would be a matter of seconds before he lost all oxygen, and two knew what the pressurization would do. I complied and I passed her the needle, and watched as she held the struggling man down and urged him to remain calm. Easier said than done given that he knew what was happening to him. Using the needle, she slammed the sharp edge into his lung to try and open a separate path from the air, but the rest of us could tell that it was too late. She was delaying the inevitable. Hans' gasps were the only sound in the room, save for Colleen shouting for him to stay alive, but it was just a hollow attempt. Moments later, the room was silent again, and all of us were feeling very uncomfortable. The food was poisoned, Johnson realized. None of us acknowledged it, but we knew that he was right. Someone in this team was trying to kill the others. That evening, I did my best to get some sleep, despite the tension that remained amongst our small crew. It had only been a day and already two of us were gone, And of course, I knew that the small panic I felt was likely creeping into the others' hearts. Our mission had a mole. I watched my door as I pretended to sleep, half worried that I would be next, and for good reason. Midway through the night, I heard a noise in the hallway and I went to investigate.
What a great spot to leave off. Alright guys, so that's gonna be it for today's video. I just wanted to let you know that all the bull crap and boring things that I'm doing, I'm just gonna send a musical noodle, because I feel bad for Molly, because she's never gonna upload, and Presley's never gonna upload, let's be real here. And then, yeah, so this is part 1. Let me know if you want a part 2. If you do, then I will make a part 2 of this. And yeah.